carbs bad for you? Can you put on muscle as a vegan? But not everyone can be vegan, right? Everyone's body's a little bit different. Don't vegans need to like supplement a ton? Alright, what's up everybody? My name's Danash and welcome to my channel, That Vocal Vegan, where I want to share veganism with you and let me sing to you while I'm at it. So the purpose of this video is I want to debunk a lot of the nutritional myths that I've heard during my crusade to bring veganism to the masses. As always, I hope you find this video useful and informative. So without further ado, let's get started. Carbs are bad for you. Like, who hasn't heard that before? Like, I hear, oh, I'd love to eat lentils, but it's too many carbs, or the issue with the vegan diet is it's way too many carbs. So the issue in this statement is that there's no distinction between simple carbs and complex carbs. And so your simple carbs are gonna be your refined carbs, which are gonna be stripped of all the nutrients, including the fiber. That's gonna be your white rice, your regular pasta, your white bread. And those are harmful more so because they're processed, not so much because they're carbs. When we look at complex carbs, which are found in whole plant foods, so think your whole grains, fruits, sweet potatoes, we see really great health outcomes. According to these two studies, high carb diets have been linked to reversing heart disease, which is the #1 killer in the United States and globally. And then according to this study, high carb diets lead to weight loss and are associated with lower levels of obesity and type 2 diabetes. And this isn't surprising because in the Adventist Health Study, the vegan group is the only group to come in at a healthy BMI. All other groups, even vegetarians, come in on average overweight. And you may be surprised to find out that good carbs includes gluten, as long as it's whole wheat. In recent years, there's been this huge gluten-free craze. Gluten is a major component of wheat, so people who are gluten-free avoid that. However, this study shows that a diet rich in whole grains, which in this case was whole wheat, oats, and brown rice, was shown to reduce the risk of chronic disease. And on top of that, according to this study, only about 1% of people in the United States have celiac disease, which is basically an allergy to gluten, and those people should definitely avoid gluten. I mean, if you go to any bakery or coffee shop in LA and you ask for the vegan option, they'll tell you it's gluten-free. What about fruits? I've heard they're full of carbs and sugar is not good for you. So the good news is that fruits are healthy and they're associated with positive health outcomes, no matter how much fruit you eat. For example, according to this study, people consumed 20 servings of fruit a day and they saw no adverse effects. And they benefited from a 38-point drop in LDL cholesterol. Eat as much fruit as you want. Another big myth is about protein. Can vegans get enough protein? Can vegan athletes get enough protein? This is a big stickler for me. So back in college, I used to be a Division I varsity athlete. No, but seriously, I did used to be one. And that idea was nailed into my head. Oh, I need protein. I could never go vegan. I can't eat the same food that a vegan would eat because I'm just not gonna get the gains that I need to perform at my best. I just need to eat a lot of chicken in the name of sport. But according to this study, you only need about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of healthy weight or ideal weight. And so for the Americans out there, like me, that's about 0.4 grams of protein per pound. Keep in mind this is ideal weight, which generally refers to lean body mass, which generally means your weight minus any fat you may have. So we'll run some numbers here. Let's say that you weigh 70 kilograms and you have about a 10% body fat. That puts you at about 63 kilograms of lean body mass. And if we apply that 0.8 grams of protein that I just mentioned, that leaves us at about 55 grams of protein a day, which is super easy to hit. If you eat 2,200 calories of potatoes, you can almost hit that, but don't do that. Eat a varied diet. And according to this study, people are more likely to suffer from the effects of too much protein. The adverse effects associated with long-term high-protein, high-meat intake in humans were A, disorders of bone and calcium homeostasis, B, disorders of renal function, C, increased cancer risk, D, disorders of liver function, and E, precipitated progression of coronary heart disease. And they ended up coming to the conclusion that there is currently no reasonable scientific basis in the literature to recommend protein consumption above the current RDA for healthy adults due to its potential disease risks. What about the athletes, who want to get gains? What do they need? Because that's different from just basic protein requirements. And according to this 2018 meta-analysis of 49 different studies, there was no benefit in muscle gain after 1.6 grams per kilogram per day. And as a reminder, although I couldn't confirm it in the study, I'm pretty sure they're referring to lean body mass in this case as well. Again, if you weighed 70 kilograms and you were at 10% body fat, that puts you at 63 kilograms of lean body mass, and that puts you at about 100 grams of protein a day. So you might need to throw in some lentils in your potato-only diet to hit that. And so keep in mind, what this means is that as a percent of total calories that we get from protein, we should be aiming for around 10 to 20%, the higher end of the spectrum being to maximize muscle growth. And I've seen numbers from omnivores recommending 40% of our calories to come from protein. And it seems like that's just not based in science and can actually have some harmful effects. So good news, that's more chickpea pasta, right? And just to cover all my bases, as a reminder, according to this study, as long as you're getting all the amino acids in sufficient quantity, it doesn't matter if the source is from a plant or an animal. Another myth, some people just can't go vegan. So according to this study, we are more similar to people than we are dissimilar, and they come to the conclusion that therefore we argue that there is presently insufficient rationale for truly personalized nutrition for the majority of people based on the inter-individual differences that separate them. And if we look even further into this study, we find that genetic differences only account for a few percentage point differences in nutrient levels in individuals. Barring certain allergies, of course, it seems that our bodies tend to work more or less the same. But what about conditions like celiac, like I mentioned, or IBS, or different types of food allergies, like soy or nut? Well, I did some Googling, and it turns out that there's no research that suggests there is a single condition that can prevent somebody from being vegan or from consuming a vegan diet. And if you think about it, there's so many different plant foods out there that you always have several options to get different nutrients. I'm not saying there aren't conditions that make it harder. Yeah, like celiacs, for example, but it's still possible. And when it comes to moments like this for me, about veganism being difficult, I always think about, is it harder for me to be a little bit inconvenienced, or is it harder for the animals and what they go through? And I always come to the conclusion that it's harder for the animals, so I can take the little inconvenience. As registered dietitian and author of Do Some People Need to Eat Meat, Ginny Messina puts it, with the exception of those who have extensive intolerances to numerous plant foods, leaving them with few plant food choices, I believe a vegan diet is a safe option for everyone. But I can't know that for an absolute fact because it's something that's impossible to prove. Which I think is fair, right? You can't prove that there hasn't been anybody born ever with such an extensive intolerance to all these different plant foods that they just can't go vegan. But it also appears that it's never been documented. So if you all know of any documented case of somebody like that, leave a comment below. What's interesting to note though is that this small study found that switching to a somewhat plant-based diet helped people with Crohn's disease, an inflammatory bowel disease, which is usually a top-of-mind disease people would think would prevent someone from being able to go vegan. A semi-vegetarian diet was continued by 16 patients, compliance 73%. Remission, meaning the Crohn's disease didn't come back, was maintained in 15 of 16 patients in the semi-vegetarian diet group versus 2, meaning that it only didn't come back for 2 of the 6 in the omnivorous group. So remission rate with a semi-vegetarian diet was 100% at 1 year and 92% at 2 years. Vegans need a lot of supplementation. So the reality is, as long as you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, you only really need to supplement B12. That being said, a vitamin D and algae omega-3 supplement are really worth looking into. And in addition to that, making sure you have a reliable source of iodine. As Dr. Greger puts it, all the other vitamins, minerals, and nutrients should be taken care of by the mountains of nutrition you'll be getting by centering your diet around whole plant-based foods. And I'll include a link below where Dr. Greger goes over all the supplementation he recommends and what nutrients to make sure you're getting enough of. And don't think this is specific to a vegan diet. If we were talking about an omnivore diet, we'd have even more nutrients to worry about. According to this study, Americans normally don't get enough of vitamin A, C, E, potassium, magnesium, and fiber. And according to this study, I'd even throw B12 in there as well. So yeah, bottom line, as long as you're eating a whole food, plant-based diet and getting a little bit of supplementation, you should probably be experiencing some pretty good health outcomes. And if you're more curious about all the different health benefits of veganism and the impact of eating animals has on you, check out the video I did on that. And if you're interested in going vegan, I've got a video about 10 tips for vegan beginners and a video about just what the heck am I eating in a day. And so hopefully that'll make the transition easier if you're interested. Also, if you enjoy street interviews, I recommend checking out my friend Natalie's channel, The Juggling Vegan. She does a lot of street interviews. Honestly, she does such a good job talking to people about veganism and discussing the matter in a really non-confrontational and fun way. And she's currently doing a 30-day challenge where she's interviewing people every single day in New Orleans. I really recommend checking her channel out if you haven't seen that kind of stuff before, or if you have and you like it. And I've also included a bunch of links below as always. I've started all my sources down in the description, as well as where I got my interpretations from. And also I've included some affiliate links below about the gear that I'm using and the books that I recommend. Well, anyways, y'all, thank you so much for watching the video again. I love all your support. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to my channel and giving me a like, as well as sharing it with your friends. If you meet any vegan friends, maybe, pass my channel along. But anyways, again, thank y'all so much. Please leave a comment for any recommendations you'd want to see in the future and any questions you might have. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video.